All right, so we're finally live. Good evening, people. Today we have probably the youngest guest ever we have hosted. I have hosted, I mean. Today we have with us Gitika Gorthi. A very welcome to you, Gitika, and welcome to all the viewers as well who are joining us and who will be joining us in the near future. So we have today with us the founder of Ignited Thinkers. Welcome, Deepika. Sorry, Gitika.
Hi. It's really nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So, Gitika, we have been since we announced this all thing of Gitika Gorthi coming with us on webinars, they are actually excited to know about your work. So, tell us something about yourself and your work.
So, about myself, my name is Gitika, like you said, and I'm in 10th grade. And I started rocketry in 7th grade, seventh class. And I've been working towards building my rocketry skill level and currently trying to get my rocketry license. And about my work, I started Ignited Thinkers in the hope to try spreading rocketry to everyone because my parents came from India and they told me how kids like just around the world don't have the same opportunities as kids here. And so I want to bring that to everyone because I feel like people could learn and do so much better at a younger age if they grow with those skills. So that's why I tried and I founded Ignited Thinkers. And I did an event in Vizag where at a home, I taught over 70 students how to build rockets. And I taught them, about jobs and careers they could potentially get. And we actually built model rockets and flew them. So it was a great experience working with those kids. And I want to do that again in the future.
That's amazing. So, actually here in India, if you take a look at the curriculum of students, right, they really don't have a space-oriented study material, or they don't have anything that actually encourages them to step into the space industry, right? So, how do you think like the space education is actually going to help us to set up the entire ecosystem of space education in the country? What's your view on that?
I think that using different programs like NARTREC, which what motivated me, which have different certifications, will really motivate kids to, go beyond each level and do better each time. So I think space education is super important because kids will get motivated to do more and more and achieve each challenge or level, which is something that I want to get kids to do. And I think this type of space education is vital because our world, without even us knowing it, relies a lot on rocketry and space, like taking up satellites and our internet and everything is reliant on space. So I think giving this is really important to the future generations and not just keeping it here with us, but rather expanding it and growing it, which I think is very important for us to grow as a society together and a civilization.
All right. So, being a science communicator, right? So, I wanted to know, like, how did you realize that you are actually you have something like the passion in you for the space? How did you come to realize that?
So I actually, after in 7th grade, when I joined the club for rocketry with my teacher, Mr. Anderson, and I started doing these rocketry challenges, I realized I really liked building rockets, but I didn't know anything beyond that. And that summer, I actually applied for a NASA summer camp, which is a 1 week course. And I got selected to go for free with a scholarship. So it was great. In that 1 week, I got to tour their facilities. I got to meet with professionals. I got to go to their actual launch site and everything. And it was an amazing experience for me. And I knew from there, after all they talked about and the different space careers you can have, you don't only have to be an engineer or some sort of chemist or physicist. You could have your own skill set and still go and be a space scientist, which I found very cool. And I just kind of knew that this is where I wanted to be, and I liked this atmosphere. So that's kind of how I knew space was my thing.
That's amazing because honestly, when I was in first year of my graduation, at that time I was really fascinated by the pictures of Hubble telescope and those bogus stuff, right? So I just asked one of my friends how to get into these all things. So he suggested me that you can take up courses on EDX. Then I actually started doing those courses, and then I realized that, oh boy, the mathematics is something that's beyond my reach. So I just had to drop it right there. So then during the second year of my graduation, I googled what all disciplines space sciences offers you, and that's when I came to know about astronautics, right? And then I came in contact with Star, and things just started happening, and here I am, right? So,
Yeah.
talking about Star, how did you join Star? Like, how did you come in contact?
So when I was trying to find Ignited Thinkers and I did my first event, I just kind of wanted to reach out to different organizations. Like before my first event, I reached out to, since I went to the NASA summer program, NASA's education department was able to like support me and give like NASA stickers to the kids that I worked with, and they were super supportive. And I also worked with Mr. Hockheimer, who's the president of National Association of Rocketry, and he helped me, get permissions because when flying rockets, they require a lot of to alert like airports and stuff. So I think he helped me a lot on that side by giving me recommendations. And I also contacted Indian Rocketry Association at that time to help provide motors to me because I can't take motors from America to India. So they also helped me with that. And I realized the importance of making connections with already founded amazing organizations. And that's how I met STAR. So I was doing a lot of online research about different startups and different organizations who I think I could connect with and kind of grow off. And I found STAR and I was like, this is amazing. This is kind of the same thing that I want to do. So, but in India. So I was like, this is so cool. So I emailed them and I got in touch, and it just kind of worked up from there. And we started thinking of how we could work together and collaborate in the future. So, yeah.
As I've always said, like every people who've joined our community, they've always been a part since the beginning till date, right? So it's really an honor to have you on board all the time. So yeah, so like I wanted to know, like since you're a science communicator, how did you start your career as a science communicator? Since you are in just 10th standard, right? So how did you start?
So, like I said before, I'm actually a Girl Scout too. So that's basically a program where you do a lot of leadership activities and community service. So when I was, I had that in the back of my head as well. I have to give back to my community somehow. But also in 7th grade, when I built my rocket, I actually took my family, I dragged them to a launch site to fly my first rocket at an actual field site. And I was really excited that day, and I went. And my dad, after flying the rockets and seeing the different rockets, in the car ride back home, my dad asked me, and he was like, "Gitika, you're so lucky. You got to see a rocket. You got to build a rocket. I'm like 40 years old, and I haven't seen a rocket fly. I never built a rocket. You have so many opportunities, and I'm so thankful for that." And he's like, "I bet kids back, at my home or like anywhere else probably don't have the same opportunities." And that got me really thinking, like, wow, I thought like everybody was like the same. Everybody had everything, but it didn't occur to me that people from different areas had different situations and they couldn't have the same opportunities. So my dad was the one who kind of got that thought into my head. And from there, I was like, what can I do? Like, how can I do it? And then I realized if I can spread it and I'm like their age and I'm like their peer, they'll probably listen to me more and kind of get the idea like, oh, I can do something. Because I think there's this misconception that rocket science is like something only like old people can do, or someone who's like super smart and like their IQ is super high. Like, I think that's a huge misconception. And a lot of families just like, oh, don't do that. Like, become a doctor, become an engineer. And there's like so many stereotypes around it. So I think getting out of my comfort zone and trying to like spread my love to other people was really like the driving factor. And on top of that, I've been growing up as a Girl Scout. So like giving back to my community was always on top of my head. So when I realized I had an opportunity to actually start my own organization and have this platform where I can reach out to other people, whether it be virtually or in person, that kind of motivated me to get in touch. And then I didn't know how to start because honestly, I didn't know anything about this. So I actually met with one. He's a distant relative in India. He's a politician. And I told him my idea and how I really wanted to go to India and, give back and do things and spread rocketry. And he loved the idea. So he started giving me different ideas of how I can reach out to local organizations and I can, work with other people. And that's how I started, contacting everyone I knew. I started writing rocketry articles so that I can, earn money, funding. And Mr. Anderson, my teacher, he also helped me in a big way throughout this process by providing the rockets in the first place. And he was just a huge help. So I think everything just worked out without me knowing. But it did take a long time and process. I'm not going to say it's easy. It took me like probably like 6 or 7 months to even like get my first contact and have a chance to like talk with the NAR president. And it just took a lot of patience, I guess. So I guess this process wasn't easy, but being able to talk with others and I had like a true passion to make a difference, which I think kind of drove me to keep working at it along with school. So I think, that's kind of what made me a space communicator, and I hope to still do more.
Wow, that was really amazing. I mean, I should tell you honestly, you are actually inspiring a lot of people out there. I mean, I'm sorry for the birds in the background, but yeah, that story was really inspiring, right? I'm sure like today a lot of people are going to take good stories with them because and at the end of the day they're going to get inspired a lot. That's for sure. So, like talking about the rocketry stuff, like you have built rockets before, right? So, I just wanted
Yes.
to know, like, what's the maximum height you have achieved till now?
Well, I first started off with like, I think 1 foot or, 1 foot rockets and stuff, very small. And then I started growing. I think my biggest rocket, I don't know the exact height. I like built it a couple months ago. I haven't been doing it right now during quarantine because my parents don't want everything all around the house. But I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I have it with me right now. It's like, I'm trying to think. I don't know the exact height. It's a high-powered licensed rocket, so it's like a high-powered rocket. So that was the rocket I was going to take to get my license. So I know it's like a high-powered rocket. I just don't know the height. I think it might be 3.5 or 4 feet. I'm not sure at all. I have to like look, but it's a high-powered rocket. So that's my first one. I've usually stuck with smaller rockets because I was just getting into it. But and also like the launch site is an hour away from my house, so I can't fly here if it's a big rocket. But I think the biggest rocket I've built so far was like 4 feet or something.
So, like, I'm sure you are like being an inspiration for all of us here. I wanted to know who has been your inspiration.
I've had one main, and she's not in the rocketry field at all, but you guys probably know her, Michelle Obama. She's a huge inspiration to me because I think it also like comes with my the Ignited Thinkers theme. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a certain gender, certain age, or anything to make a difference. And she grew up in a house that was with one room, and she grew up in a very low status, and she shows you don't have to be rich to do something, or you don't have to be in a certain social status to do something. So I think that's really like, she's my inspiration that I can do something great and I can become something. And she's like really helped me like realize that, you have potential if you drive for it and you do it with a passion. So I think she's like my number one inspiration. And I actually just read her book, Becoming, which I would 100% recommend to anybody who can read English. It's an amazing book. And it really, truly makes you want to do something in this world. So,
Wow, it's always good to know that the people who inspired you, where do they get inspired from? It's like I really love to know these things. So, till now, your journey as a science communicator, what all challenges have you faced?
um, the main challenge I guess I faced is, I guess, the lack of getting involved in clubs, because I think my teacher, Mr. Anderson, he's licensed in everything and for rocketry, and he has this club in NAR, and he has like a team and everything, and he's a lot of their team members are quite old, right? So they're older in age, and I'm pretty young. I'm 16. So when people are, asking, or if I want to join clubs or if I want to do something, I have to stick within my community, within my high school or within my middle school. I can't really participate in other like outside organizations as much because they look at me as I'm young. I don't know as much, which is true. I don't know as much, but I would love to get to know more from like the experienced people. So I think that's something that has been a challenge for me to like spread my wings, because I think as a high schooler, if you want to be like a doctor or something, you can intern at a hospital. But someone who wants to aspire to be a rocketeer or a space enthusiast or someone like that can't have as many opportunities till they're a certain age, which is mostly in college. So I think that's something that's been a struggle for me, but I've been able to find a few programs like the one I attended at NASA. That was a cool opportunity. So I'm just trying to look for things like that. And in terms of starting Ignited Thinkers, the main problem I had was shipping motors or getting motors to go to India, because the number one thing I wanted to do with the kids I worked with is make them fly rockets. I mean, honestly, that is the thing that got me into rocketry. I'm not going to lie. Watching rockets go up is the best thing ever. And I think that's what made me love rocketry the most, more than the actual science behind it. So I wanted to get the kids I worked with to actually experience that and fly their own rockets. So taking rockets from here, it was hard trying to ship motors. I tried, contacting customs because I know some people from there, and it's just so difficult because they don't allow motors. So I think that was my biggest challenge, but I was able to work with people in India, and they made personalized motors for the rockets that I'm bringing. So that was, it took a lot of time and effort, but it worked out. So I'm very thankful.
Honestly, like even when we are having some tests before the launch, like did the launch test, right? Even we had problems initially shipping the motors because usually our motors would get caught at the immigration, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's stuck down. And so we
Mhm.
just had to work upon it by ourselves. So we started making our own rocket motors, right? And as of now, our rocket motors are really good. I mean, we make powerful rocket motors, and they are quite reliable, honestly. Like I've been in that phase of Star when we were actually working on the rocket motor, and we have had seen a lot of rocket motors flying like rockets, which is not
Mhm.
supposed to happen. Sorry about that. All right. So yeah. So wait. Yes. So being as a science communicator, what do you think? Like you must definitely be having some goals and visions, right? So what's your ultimate vision?
So personally, I have a different vision than from what I have for Ignited Thinkers. So for Ignited Thinkers, my vision is that it will be an organization that links others from different countries. I want to be that program where kids can access online and view different lessons, and they can kind of go through things. And I want to create videos where students can go through each video and learn something new and complete a different challenge. And I want kids to earn certifications and feel a sense of accomplishment that they know something and kind of move forward from there. I want to be like an online and in person, like sort of place where kids can come and for free access these resources and build their skills and actually have a plan to become something in the space industry in the future. And I want to get rid of any false misconceptions they may have on space education or rocketry. And for me personally, when I was a little kid, I wanted to always be a doctor. But when I got into rocketry, my path kind of changed. And I was like, how do I combine my interest in science and my interest in rocketry together? And so my vision is hopefully to become a space doctor. So I know that in the future, there's a lot of people like who want to go into space and potentially like be there for a long time. And I know now with like the whole launch, commercial rocketry, like commercial businesses actually like taking people up into space and coming back down on like, maybe it could become like an airplane thing in the future. You know how like airplanes was a big deal. I feel like maybe in the future, going up in the rocket and coming back down might be like a thing like that. So if that is the case, I think understanding biological effects on how humans can be in space is really important, whether they're on different planets or just in space around Earth. So I think if I could do that and actually learn about, combine my interest with science as well as space and going up in rockets, that would be amazing. That's like personally my vision in the future. But we'll have to see where things go.
Okay. All right. So there's actually an interesting comment popping up in the comment section. Mr. Sunny is saying that we are planning for October Sky second part based on your story. I mean, that's amazing. Have you watched
No,
October Sky?
no, I have not. I will
But
definitely watch it.
yeah, that's actually a really good, amazing story. Like that's where I guess it's based on Homer Hickam's life, how he got interested into rocketry when he saw the Sputnik, right? And that story is actually really amazing. It's going to inspire a lot of people. And yes, the viewers who are viewing us, guys, please note down the movie. It's October Sky, right? Okay. So yeah, coming to your answer, actually, what you said about mixing up all the biology and having the space stuff. Honestly, it was during tenth standard when I was in 10th standard. I was pretty good at. I was a decent student, right? And I even enjoyed sciences. But the thing with biology was there was a lot of terminologies, right, which I cannot hold. My mind wasn't able to hold those many
Hmm.
terminologies, right? And even and apart from that, like biology has by that time biology didn't had much of calculations and numericals. I don't know if they have uh, in
Not as
the
much.
higher standards or
Chemistry
not,
more
but
has it. Yeah.
yeah. So that's why I was like something. I'm kind of a person who loves to calculate and have calculations and some, yeah, right. So these kind of things. So that's when I realized, okay, biology is not something I should be doing. So let's switch to physics, chemistry, and mathematics. And then chemistry started being a bit of a problem for me, so I left chemistry. Finally, I took physics, and that's when I landed into my college and with physics. And later on during second year, I realized, okay, not even physics. I should have gone for rocketry. So things just keep on changing. It's quite dynamic
Yeah.
out there. Okay, so okay, yeah. So this question is actually good. Are you good at academics or just like me and Deepak? You are also
Um,
messing up with it.
I think I'm personally good at it. I'm very diligent. I'm not a super talented person who gets everything on the first try. I work really hard for the grades I get. So I think that I'm pretty good at academics. I'm not naturally talented or anything, but I work really hard and I love the classes I'm taking. So this year I took AP Biology, which was my favorite class ever. So that was the number one class. And I did end with a good grade in that class. So I think I'm pretty good at academics, but it's sometimes a struggle to get myself to work. But once I do, I'm like pretty serious and I get things done. So yeah, I do mess around, but not always.
I mean, after becoming in college, I messed around a lot. Like seriously, guys, I would really suggest you that hard work. Hard work is the key, right? Intelligence is always an added benefit to it, but if you do hard work, that's definitely you're gonna get go. You're gonna get places, right?
Yeah, I feel
Okay,
like the ride will be bumpy, but if you continuously persist and get through it, I feel like you'll see the end result and that'll be better than everything. So,
exactly,
yeah.
no doubt. So yeah, so this question is put forward by Miss Jenny Mistry. She's asking, what do you think about astrobiology? So this actually overlaps a lot with your field, I
Yeah,
guess.
I actually don't know much about astrobiology. I've actually looked at courses that I could take in college when I'm applying. How can I apply for a space doctor? Because that's not a common major that anybody I think applies for. So I definitely saw that some colleges did have something called like space doctor, like to become one. And I was shocked to see that. So that's kind of, but that's a term I used, but I didn't think it was real. But when I found out it was a real term that people use, I was like, that's kind of what I want to be. And if astrobiology comes into that, I will 100% take into it because it sounds super cool. Because I think it's really important to not only build rockets, but understand how humans can live in other planets or in space, which I think is also very interesting. So, and it combines both my interests. So I would definitely take astrobiology if I had the chance.
Okay, so Gitika, like, have you, as of now, have you interacted with kids of lower classes, like primary school students?
Yeah, I actually, so what I did is I went to a home, which is like an orphanage, and it's called Shirley's Home. And all these kids, some of them have parents, some of them don't, and they're very low class, and they just don't have the resources, and they live in one compacted area. And I actually know this lady because she is in the United States. She's my English teacher, and I told her about my program, and she told me how she's the one who funds that orphanage every year by sending like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was like, oh, I'll totally go and I'll teach them because they don't have any of these extracurricular opportunities at all. And I went there and there were kids from ages like 6 or 5 all the way to college. There are kids in college there still. So I was able to work with all ages, and it was an amazing experience. And here, no one really calls you by relationship, really. They're just like, oh, you're my friend, sort of thing. But there, everyone, like, where they were from, everybody calls you like by sister or like some sort of like relationship. There, it's akka. So when I was able to go and they called me like their sister and everything, I like felt amazing. And as a 16-year-old, getting that experience to work with those many kids who like look up to you, and they come to you and ask you questions, they ask you about your school. It was just an amazing experience, and I was able to speak their mother tongue very badly, but hopefully they understood me, and it was an amazing experience. So I was able to work with all kids, and they actually inspired me to keep going. And to this day, I'm in contact with them, and I fund their school supplies every year. And for at least this year, and it's like an amazing thing to be able to be in contact with them and work with them. It was an amazing experience. So yeah.
Okay. So this question is okay. I'll turn back to this question later. But for now, like since you interacted with all like a wide range of age, right? The students from a wide range of age. So like for the kids, like particularly from around let's say 6 years to around 14 years, I would say. Like how
Okay.
difficult was it for you to teach them the rocket science or the rocket stuff?
So what I did first was I knew kids would love hands-on. So I actually brought rockets from here to there, right? So they were constantly engaged with doing something because they were so busy with their rockets. Like, I need to make this perfect, because I had this little challenge where the kid with the highest flying rocket, because I had like an altitude, what is it called? I'm forgetting the name right now. It's like it measures how high the rocket flies, and the altitude tracker. And basically, I put those in the rockets, and I said the kid who gets the highest rocket wins a prize. So every kid was trying to get their rocket to be the best. And in that time, I taught them the importance of aerodynamics, of getting their fins in the correct shape, rounded, sanded, all that type of like different simple physics skills that every age could understand, because I was dealing with a wide range of kids. And that really motivated them to get their rockets to the best perfection level. So I think that it wasn't too bad. They were like super awesome kids who understood what I was trying to say. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't hard to teach them. It was actually like fun and easy. And they were very motivated kids too. So I think that really helped get it there. So I think if kids find rocketry interesting, they'll give their 100%. So I was able to teach them with no problem.
That's amazing because honestly, like even I've done this thing before when we started this workshop program, right? I took the in charge. I took the have the control of it, and I had my team with me all the time. Right, the first batch was really amazing. Like they were all curious to know about the rocket stuff. Right, they had amazing experience launching the rocket. The second batch, it was oh my god, it was really horrible to deal with them. Like
Oh no.
kids at times sometimes they're really notorious.
Yeah, depends on the kids you get. So,
Exactly. Okay, so there's this interesting question put forward by Mr. Swapnil Parekh. He asks, if you get a chance to meet one person from the space industry, who would that person be and why?
I never thought about that. So if I was to do it, if I could, it would be Miss Victoria, who is the first. She was the first woman to go to space, but she's Russian. I think it would be super cool to know what she went through as a woman, being the first in space. I think it would be very interesting to learn about her experience, what she went through going up, and I think it would just be really fun talking to her. So I would totally, if I could, meet her. But I never really thought about it. The one person I would meet. I guess I would try meeting everyone I could. So,
All right. So, okay, this question is also really amazing. Like this would help us get a more bigger insight to your life as till now. What do you think was most important point in your life that brought you where you are right now?
okay. I think for me, it's the most important thing that brought me to where I am now as a person is definitely my parents, and how I grew up. I think my parents always like brought me like, you have to give back, you have to make a difference. They never like forced me to be someone I'm not. They never forced me to like be in one path or like be like this person, be like that person. Like they never forced me and they always let me grow up who I wanted to be. And I think they were the major point that really helped me become who I am because they let me explore different paths. They weren't like, oh, you can't do dance, you can't do art, you can't do basketball. I'm a huge basketball fan. I've been playing since third grade. So if someone, my parents are like, oh no, don't be a sports player. They've never said that. I think them allowing me to grow and do different things that I like has helped me become who I am today. And they are the ones who actually motivated me to start my nonprofit. So I felt like demotivated, like no one's responding back to my emails. I don't know how to do it. I'm so young. I feel like I can't do anything. I feel so small. And they're always like, no, you're not. Like age is not a factor you should be even concerned about because people can make a change even at 7 years old. Like 16 is like twice the age, like you don't have to even worry. Like I think people think that they're too young to make a difference, but my parents have helped me realize that, nothing can stop you if you really have a drive and a passion to do something. So I think that point really helped me realize, that I can do something. I'm old enough. Like, I can live on my own. If I can live on my own, I can do something for other people too. So I think that point has really helped me become who I am today.
Absolutely. I mean, making changes. You grow up, you are born, you make changes. You add up to the entropy of the system, right? You die, you again
Mm-hmm.
make some changes to the entropy of the system. So,
Yeah, might as well
and
make a
about that,
positive change.
exactly. So, I mean, I would really say that people having parents like so supportive parents is really an added advantage to you, right? Because in India, right, I don't know about the other countries, but actually in India we have this major problem where our parents do force their kids to take up something else, like, and honestly, like, you will get to have a lot of engineers in our country, right? There'll be a lot of people who just had to take up some subject or some stream because their parents wanted to do so, right? And this is something like, if there are guardians or parents watching us right now, guys, please, I really have a request to all of you, please don't force these things onto your kid, right? Just let them be whatever they want to be, because if you let them do so, they'll definitely come out as a better version of themselves, right?
Yeah,
I
I
just
think yeah, amazingly
yeah,
said.
you
And I think there's one thing that's really important to understand that there's this thing that if you're a doctor or you're an engineer or a lawyer or something like in a high position, you'll be good in your life. I think parents have the right mentality when they push their kids to do a certain subject. They have the right intention. And for all the parents out there, that's right. You want your kids to live happy. And as a kid myself, like I would totally appreciate my parents trying to push me in the right direction. But I think there's this thing that people need to understand that whatever you choose, you can become number one. Like there's no saying that if you're an artist, you have to stay poor. You can be an artist and you can be a billionaire, like your paintings could be in a museum and everybody would die to come see your paintings. Like there's not one thing where you can say that you'll be poor. Like you can be a doctor and no one will come to you. You can still be poor. Like it's the way you take it and it's the way that your kids move with it. So if your kids are not interested, they're going to be sad their whole lives. I mean, maybe they'll live, but not in a good way. I think doing what they want, they'll actually grow higher and do better for the society and they'll live happier too. I think that's something my parents, like, it's something here too. Like in America, everyone's always like, oh, you have to be a doctor, you have to do this. My friend, she wants to be an environmentalist and her parents were like, environmentalist? Like, no, that's so weird. Like, they were like, they look down upon it. And I think I'm very lucky to have parents who don't think like that. And they like push me to do whatever I can and in whatever interest I have, because they know that whatever I do, I'll be happy and I'll go to the fullest I can. So that's how I got into rocketry. And I think all parents should understand that.
yeah. So I'm pretty sure that rocketry actually has taught you a lot of things, right? So any specific learnings, life learnings that you ever had during the space education tenure, like you're still learning about space, right? So till now, anything, any sort of life learning you would have?
I guess life learning, I haven't had too much like mind blowing sort of thing. But one thing is like trying to find ignited thinkers was a huge thing for me. And it helped me realize that even if things are hard, if you push through, something will work out. Like meeting STAR, meeting different like organizations and everything working out in the end, like I didn't even expect. So I think pushing through and continuously putting effort will actually like have amazing results. So whenever something is hard, I always remember that something good will happen if I keep trying. So I think that's something that I learned.
Just have faith in the God. God has got actually beautiful plans for all of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the best you can always hope for. Because honestly, like when I entered the field of rocketry and this aerospace sector, we were actually having a launch. Actually, we were having a test launch for Star Excel. It's actually the high-powered rocket, right? So we were trying to test it, and for the ignition system, we have the Bluetooth module for the ignition, right? So during while we were setting up the entire system, there was a small short circuit in the Bluetooth module, and the rocket just went off without its recovery system being on, right?
Oh,
And that's like, oh no, honestly, it's not wow, because after that, what
yeah, I know. I was
something
like,
really devastating. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
So the moment when the rocket was coasting at its at its highest altitude, it just tips over and then it starts coming down. And when the rocket fell down, it was literally divided into three sections. I could literally see all those three sections: the recovery system separate, the avionics separate, and the control system and the propulsion system was all separated. That was like the most devastating failure I've ever seen in my life. Right.
Yeah.
So, but the best thing that we learned from that day was rockets is something that will definitely fail. These are meant to fail. Right? You can never, even if 0.1% error is left, you'll get a failure. So all you can do is just prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Hmm.
Right?
Definitely.
Okay. So okay, someone's asking questions on astrology. I want to go in one stream of astrology. Can you suggest a way? I don't think like. Have you got any ideas about that?
Astrology, like fortune telling, or like,
Yeah,
oh,
this
like
I guess.
palm reading. No, I don't know much about it. I'm not a huge believer because I think
It's
you
yeah,
control your own fate. So I think everybody has different views on that. I'm
exactly.
sorry, I don't know much about it.
Likewise, I think the same. So, okay, this question is actually put forward by Umang Sudani. He's okay. This question is actually quite good. How do you motivate yourself? This is actually a really good question because even at times, even I run out of motivation. Not just me, everybody else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. For me, like I think before I didn't have like a drive really. Like I knew there were kids out there that needed help, but I didn't have that drive really that I have as more now. And that's because of the kids that I did work with. And I saw what they were going through and how like, six girls would share one bathroom. And I think that type of thinking and, learning about other people really helped me, like be more driven and more motivated by thinking about other people who don't have what I have, which keeps me motivated. And also, I think that if you have a goal or like a target that you're trying to like go through, like achieve, it'll help you like work harder. For example, I'm going to college in 2 years. And so I have to like apply for colleges. I have to think of, what I want to be when I grow up and all that type of stuff. I have a goal. I have like a benchmark of, okay, I have 2 years and my life will kind of be determined, or like I'll know where I'm going or what my path is. So I think working these 2 years hard and keep like reminding myself that if I don't work hard, that these two, like after 2 years, I'll see the consequence, kind of keeps me motivated. And also, I think reading motivational books or watching motivational movies really helps. For example, I read this book, like I mentioned earlier, called Becoming by Michelle Obama, and I would really recommend it to anyone who has not read it. It is seriously the best book I've ever like read ever. It's so motivational, and watching like sports movies and anything, it just really shows you that just keep trying. I know like days, you need to have a day off, like people need a day off, but just remember that in a couple of months or a couple of years, you'll see the consequence, and everything you've been working towards or not working towards will show up then. So I think remembering the future will really help you do better now, and it'll scare you kind of into doing it, and which I think is a way of motivating yourself. So I think that's, for me, that's what motivates me, remembering people I've worked with and also thinking about the future.
exactly. So, just every time you feel like giving up, just remind yourself once that what you started for,
Yeah, and
right?
remember all the past struggles you've had, and just remember like this is like another one that you're gonna come over, so it's not gonna be like a big deal. Yeah.
Okay, so this question is, I guess, the name is not readable, but the question is, will Dyson spheres be employed in future? I don't know what's that got to do. Like, have you got any idea about that?
I've never actually heard of Dyson spheres. Then again, I've only gotten to rocketry for 4 years, and I've been mostly into model rocketry and space. So I don't know much about Dyson spheres, but I'll definitely look into it. I have no clue what that is. So if you can write in the comments what it is, maybe
Okay,
I can give you my feedback.
uh, okay. I'm actually quite happy to see that we have a parent, I guess, Shefali Adhikari. She says, "Hi, my daughter is 6 years and she's into robotics, and she always says one day I'll make a rocket and will be an astronaut." And she's watching you both. Wow, I really feel happy for this.
I love robotics. I've been doing robotics since third grade. So I've actually done, there's this program called FIRST, and I've been doing robotics from third grade all the way to 10th grade, and I'm going to continually do it. Robotics is amazing. Continue it. You're going to love it. Do competitions with it. You're going to have a great time. And yeah, you got this. You can be an astronaut. I love robotics, by the way. So
Wow. All the best for your kids, Shifali Adhikari. I really wish you all the best. I hope that she becomes an astronaut, right?
yes.
Okay, so we are halfway past the questions. Okay, yeah, this question is actually my very favorite. I mean, I've asked this question to almost all of the panelists who have been with us. What would you choose? A safe up-down journey to ISS or a one-way ticket to Mars? And why?
I would choose the first option, a safe way to and back from ISS, which is, I think, is an unpopular opinion. I think most everybody would want to go to Mars. I think going to Mars is really amazing and cool, but I think going to ISS and coming back is very important. If we can do that successfully, like multiple times in an easy way, I think people actually like regular people going and coming back is very important so people can understand what's going on, and I think more of the public will be more involved, and I think that will actually raise more awareness and more interest. And personally, since I want to be a space doctor, for those who didn't listen before, I think that's something that is going to be more beneficial for me to learn more, to do more, conduct more research, experience that. I think it's going to give me a lot more personally than going to Mars. I think going to Mars is a great achievement and it should be done. And potentially, maybe humans can live there. We don't know. But I think going and coming back to ISS is an amazing experience personally for me because I can do a lot more with it, with that trip than just going to Mars. So.
So, if you're given a chance to go to ISS, have you actually thought of what all experiments you might want to carry out there?
So I personally, I've thought about this, and I wanted to, before I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. So I went to a summer program in Brown University for neuroscience, and I really liked. I thought it was really cool, and I was like, okay, so what impact does our brain have, or our senses? How do they differ in space? Which I think it does have an impact more than we realize, and maybe our functionality in our brain and how our neurons work together may have a difference. So I think the experiment I would conduct is how our senses and how our brain functions differently in space, or if it does it even function differently in space, which I think would be very cool to research.
We've been getting updates from Shifali Adhikari. She says even her daughter wants to go to ISS first. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, we were like twins, except she's younger than me.
that's amazing. I mean, honestly, like me and Sunny sir, we both have had conversation on this, and we actually till now we are the only people who want to go to Mars. I mean, we've got lots of panelists, but all of them say they will prefer going to the ISS first, then Mars, hopefully.
Mhm.
But we always say that we want to just go to Mars and just dash there. That's it.
If I could do both options, I'll do both. But if I had to pick the first option,
Exactly. I mean, back then we had Mr. Sean Moss. He's the author of International Mars Research Station, I guess that's the name. So he was telling that before we start going to Mars, first we must master going to Moon first, right? We have to, because that's actually a compared to the Mars journey, it's actually a shorter journey, right? So in case there's any sort of mishappening or there's any medical emergencies, you can have a quick evac, right? And that's all. Like it's sort of a training platform for you, and then you can go on for the longer rides.
Hmm.
Okay, so all right, I guess few of the questions people have put we have already answered. And then okay, there's a small clarification in the question that was asked. I would like to ask her what has helped her become what she is right now in terms of her qualifications.
Okay, qualifications.
Hmm.
So, I guess in terms of qualifications, I've had in terms of rocketry or like my education. So I've been in part of rocketry club for 3 years, and
You can cover both of them.
yeah, and I've tried this NARTREC certification program, which I would highly recommend to anybody who wants to get into rocketry. It's NARTREK, NARTREC, and it's a great certification program where you do different challenges and it helps you like build your rocketry skills, but at the same time, like fly rockets and experiment by creating your own different types of rockets with twists. So I think that helped me learn more. And Mr. Anderson, my teacher in middle school, really helped me grow from that, and he helped support me. So I think that I've done the first level and I've tried getting the second level, and I kind of just stopped from there because I'm trying to now earn my high powered license because I'm 16. So I think those two things kind of really stand out for me. And I've also been to a summer program at NASA, which has helped me learn more about space and the different career options I can choose. So that has also helped me a lot. But then again, I've only been doing rocketry for 4 years now. So I'm still kind of new and I still want to earn more certifications and get better qualifications. But I've also taken a lot of science classes helping me in this. So
All right. So, okay, I had a question, yes, about Mr. Anderson. Like you have been talking about Mr. Anderson a lot. I
yes,
mean, he's your
yes,
teacher, right? So,
yeah.
tell us something about him, like how he helped you all throughout your journey.
Yeah, he actually got me into rocketry, 100%. He started this club called it's a rocketry club in my school, and now that he's retired, I don't even know if there's a rocketry club anymore. He's actually super passionate about rocketry, and when I did his class for engineering and building, because I kind of wanted to see what it was about, he told me, you should join this club. It's super fun and cool. And I started staying after school practically every single day. It's really hard to stay after school when you have school homework and everything, but I think I put a lot of hard work into getting to know about rocketry. I stayed after school for at least 2 hours every single day after my school ended, so I'd get home at like sometimes 6:30, so it was like late. But I really like put a lot of effort into getting to know rocketry, and he helped me get to know it. And he introduced me to NARTREC. He introduced me to the NAR president, and he helped me actually make my first event successful by providing me the rockets for it. And so he was a super supportive person throughout this whole journey, and he helped me throughout everything. Like he is the best teacher I could ever ask for. And I'm so sad he retired because so many other students could have learned so much from him.
So, if he is retired, I guess you should take the control now, I guess, right? You can do that. We
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, this question is by Shefali Adhikari. She asks, my daughter is asking, what was the age when you made your first rocket?
Um, 13. 13. Yeah. Or maybe
Okay.
I was 12 turning 13, but that age. I did not make my first rocket before that because I didn't even know I could do model rocketry, which is the whole point of starting my organization because I want kids to learn at a younger age. Oh, no, don't worry about asking
Okay.
me so many questions. I
Yeah,
love
exactly.
questions. I'm so
I mean,
glad she's
that's what
excited. Like, I love that.
that's what we are here for, right? Okay, so like as I told you about the failure that we had during the Star XL launch, right? That
Mhm.
unexpected launch. That was a total failure. But then we had the next launch in the next 2 days, I guess. We had the team ready, really excited, and we got the rocket ready once again, and we had a successful launch next time. So,
That's good.
talking about that, till now in the journey of your space education, have you had faced any failures till now?
Um, well, not, I guess Not failures, because I've tried to overcome them through different things. There was one thing. So in my first event that I conducted, I actually had a problem with my motors. So what would happen is they wouldn't properly fit into the motor hole. So what would happen is they actually made the motor size a little bigger than it should be. So I had to cut out a part of the rocket to make the motors fit in. And I had to kind of like custom build it a little bit. So I had to like use tape and I had to like force it to kind of fit in. I think that was probably a failure for me because I gave them the wrong size. I actually went by the Estes size that they use, but apparently that was they created a little too big. So I think I had to like on spot think, and I had to like figure out how I can get these kids to still fly the rockets, because I don't want them to just go home, or just me going home, not able to like help them fly their rockets. So I had to like think on spot and kind of modify the rockets. So that was definitely, I think, a failure on my part that I could have done better, but at least I was able to like help them fly. So.
All right. Okay, so let me just scroll down to the comments, and let me see if there are any new questions as of now. Okay, fine. I guess there are none. So, being a part of Star, I really believe that space is for everyone. So, what's your take on that?
Yes, space is 110%, 200%, however far percents can go. I completely agree with that. Space is literally for everyone. I really think that it's important for everybody to understand. You don't have to be the best mathematician ever, or an A+ student in physics, or you don't have to be like this 100% perfect student or a rocket scientist. Like when I tell people I love model rocketry, they're like, "Oh, you're a rocket scientist," and I'm always like, I'm not that smart. Like I just go based on my interests, right? So I think it's important for everybody to understand that regardless of what your skill strength is, you have to go and do it if you love space. Like you can be an artist. NASA needs artists. Israel needs artists. Like you need to like design the rockets that fit in a lot of cargo. Like I think every skill is so important. You don't have to just be good at math or physics. Like you can be good at anything, honestly, I feel like, and you can still go out and be part of space. Like space is literally for everyone.
Okay, so this question is again by Shifali Adhikari. I guess probably this question is being asked by her kid. She asks why kids can't go to space like cockroaches went and other animals. I mean, they're not even qualified, right?
Yeah, they're not qualified. Yeah, but I guess we don't want to, lose any human beings, right? Because we're all very qualified beings, so we don't want to lose anyone, right? So we're sending non-qualified cockroaches and animals instead.
Moreover, though, those animals are actually meant for some researches. I guess I'm not sure, but that must be the thing.
They're definitely trained. Yeah, they're definitely trained to like do certain things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Oh, few questions I was getting in my mind. I should have probably start writing down the questions. I usually forget the questions. Okay. Okay. So one last question here is I have on the list a small message that you would like to give to all these space entrepreneurs or the enthusiasts and the pioneers out there, or the people who are actually willing to start becoming a science communicator. So what would you say?
I would say never ever give up, and don't think you're too small. You can be 6-year-old, like the girl who's listening out there, or you can be like 20 or 30. It doesn't matter. You're never too late to be a science communicator. Like you can make a change from wherever you are, whenever. And I know things are going to be bumpy. Like they're always bumpy for me. Like I'm not going to say it's a smooth ride, but I think if you never give up and you keep going and you just go with your passion, you will actually do something and you'll actually make a difference. Like now I can say happily that I've at least impacted one person's life positively. And I think that keeps me very happy and motivated to keep doing more.